Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we are doing a fun video where a lot of the people in the Shelf Space Discord server that will be linked down below are fellow booktubers that read a lot of sci-fi, fantasy, thriller, horror books, the whole wide range. And so we thought it would be fun to do a collaboration during the spooky season where we all talk about our favorite thriller or horror book, our favorite spooky book for the season, and give you guys a list of recommendations straight from the Shelf Space Discord. So you're gonna hear from a lot of awesome booktubers in this video. I'm gonna link all of their channels down below. Please go check them out. They are really great people, and of course have amazing recommendations. So without further ado, let's go ahead and hear from them.
Hey y'all, my name is Mare and I'm from the channel Mer Reads. Today I'm here to talk to y'all about one of my absolute favorite thrillers that I've read in 2020, Home Before Dark by Riley Sager. This book follows a woman named Maggie as she returns to her old house that she lived in as a child. She actually only lived there for under a month because the house was haunted, and her father actually wrote a book about her family's experience living there. So now that her father is dead, she returns back to this house and she starts to uncover these truths about the home. Was it actually haunted, or was this just fictionalized? What I really loved about this book is that you follow not only Maggie's perspective in current day, but you also get the excerpts from her father's book. So you're trying to figure out what actually happened in this haunted house alongside Maggie. It is super cool, it's super unpredictable, you will constantly be guessing what's happening and you still won't get the right answer, and you'll always be wanting to flip the next page. I loved this book for the spooky atmosphere. It has those perfect haunted house vibes, and I really can't recommend it enough that you pick it up in October.
Hello everyone, my name is Diana from the Booktube channel Diana in the Nook, and today I'd like to share with you one of my favorite thrillers of all time, and that is The Shining by Stephen King. I call it successful thriller, the one that will scare me not only while reading it, but afterwards, and this book made me so afraid inside of my own house. I started hearing sounds I never noticed before, I was jumpy, and the worst part was when it was time to go to bed. The story was stuck in my mind several days after I finished it, and that's all because of the incredible storytelling and character work of the king in this novel. This follows a family of three: Jack, his wife Wendy, and their 5-year-old son Danny. They are broke because Jack lost his job due to his temper issues and alcoholism, and he gets a job offer to be the caretaker of a hotel during the winter season, which is when the hotel that's located on a mountain gets totally isolated. All the roads close due to the heavy amount of snow falling, and the guests have to leave. So they basically have to maintain an empty building in the middle of nowhere with a history of murderers throughout the years. They even haven't gotten to the hotel yet, and I was already feeling anxious at the idea of being there, but it is when they arrive and the author starts describing the guests leaving and the emptiness and the quietness of that big building that I started feeling a little bit of kinophobia. Stephen King's descriptions are so exquisite that you feel a chill running up your spine. The atmosphere, the emptiness of the hotel, the creepiness of the little sounds here and there are so well done. And the ghosts? Danny has a gift called the same as the title, The Shining. He sees things that other people can't, and that added the right amount of horror to the story, because then you have a mix of supernatural and madness. The characterization is fantastic. We have a family where each member struggles with the addiction of one of them, especially the little kid, and if you put aside the supernatural elements, this book is full of emotions resulting from dealing with a loved one that is not only aching himself but also hurting them physically and mentally. This story is a combination of extreme cabin fever and/or a haunted hotel plus human nature in his worst manifestations. This has everything. It is creepy, spooky, scary, it is emotional. I totally recommend it. Even if you've watched the movie, they're different, read the book. Thank you, Jessie, and all the members of our great book club.
First comes the night, then comes the lullaby. When the world is laid to rest, when the sleeping die, and those left awake walk alone, what then? I am talking about The Nightmare Land Chronicles by Daniel Barnett. What up, nerds? This is Lezlie Smith with the Nerdy Narrative, and my most anticipated scary, spooky horror read is The Flashlighters, which is book 4 in the Nightmare Land Chronicles by Daniel Barnett. When I read book 1, I was intrigued, interested. There was a huge supernatural mystery set in a post-apocalyptic world. By book 2, I was absolutely hooked. I was so hungry for more. Book 3 cemented that this is my most favorite horror series, hands down, that I've ever read. So The Flashlighters is the highly anticipated 4th installment of the Nightmare Land Chronicles. I am counting the days until I can get my hands on that sucker. While the books are on the shorter side, Daniel Barnett is a wordsmith who can say so much with so few words, and some of the best character development I have ever read to date. I haven't had one person read this series off my recommendation that didn't love it. Give it a shot, guys. I cannot recommend this series or this author enough.
Hi, I'm Tara. My channel is Phase Red 84, and my favorite horror books, I have so many, and I had a hard time choosing. It's one of my favorite genres. I love being scared. So I chose scary stories to tell in the dark. They're from my childhood, and they're my favorite one of my favorite books when I was a kid. I can just tell you how I was feeling when I read them when I was a kid, because I haven't read them in many years. Maybe I should do a reread of them, but so I love the feeling of being a jump scare. I was the edge of your seat type of horror, like you're biting your nail, like figuratively biting your nails, and it's I loved it so much. And my librarian when I was in elementary school, she read it so well that I made my mom buy the three volumes of books. I loved, and my mom didn't like them. She's not really a horror person, so she wouldn't read it to me. But like I read them myself, and it's just one of those ones, if you can find somebody who could read really well, it's best to read with a group of people. Obviously, yeah, you can read it yourself, but it's just best if you like read with a group of friends and like under the flashlight, kind of like Are You Afraid of the Dark show. But it's just a fun like jump scare to read. Yeah, there's some gore and everything, and it's just so good, like what Alan says all the time. But check them out if you feel like it.
Hi, I'm Abby from the channel Abby Salter, and my favourite thriller mystery is The Seven Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle by Stuart Turton. It's set in the 1920s, and you're in a country house that's going to be having a ball that evening, and we know that Evelyn Hardcastle is going to die, and it will look like an accident. So we have to try and figure out, or the main character Aidan has to try and figure out how she is killed and who kills her. The twist is that every day he wakes up in a different person's body. So he is re-experiencing the same day again and again, 7 times, as another person. So he, although knows himself as Aidan, he also has the characteristics and mannerisms of the people's bodies that he is inhabiting. And there are characters that are trying to stop him from solving this murder, but he knows that the only way to break the cycle is for him to solve it. I think this will really work for fans of Agatha Christie, and if you liked the board game Cluedo. So thank you, Jessie May, for letting me collaborate with you on this video. Bye!
Hey guys, I'm Jessie from the Bookish Mom, and today I'm sharing with you my favorite spooky book, I guess. I'm going a little off the rails here because I think that reality is always scarier than fiction. So my recommendation is Mindhunter by John Douglas. This is a non-fiction book that is based around the life of John Douglas. If you don't know who that is, he is the first criminal profiler for the FBI. He documents his time in the FBI, his time interviewing extremely well-known serial killers such as Edmund Kemper, such as Charles Manson. Well, he's interviewed so many like very well-known serial killers and able to create the what we know now as the criminal behavioral science like unit that they have at Quantico in the FBI. If you've seen the show Mindhunter on Netflix, that is actually based on this book. It is a fictionalization of John Douglas's real life. So if you want something that I find super creepy to pick up this spooky season, definitely go ahead and pick up.
Ooh, it's spooky season, the greatest time. Nope, that is Christmas. I want to talk to you today about The Institute, Stephen King. Little side note, my name's Alex. I'm from the YouTube channel Life by the Book. The Institute by Stephen King. I'm having way too much fun and I'm being way too extra. Follows our main character, Luke. His parents are slaughtered. Why do you say the word slaughtered so much on YouTube? Why can't you just say killed? His parents are killed. He is kidnapped, taken to the Institute because he is telekinetic or telepathic, as are all the other kids who come to the Institute. When they enter in, they are taken to their room, which is exactly like their room at their actual house. If they obey, they're rewarded with tokens for the vending machine. Should they disobey, punishment is brutal. They enter in on front half, and at some point, they will graduate to back half, at which point no one knows what happens. They only know one thing. No one has ever escaped the Institute.
Hi guys, I'm Alan and my channel is the Library of Allenxandria, and I'm here to talk to you about my favorite horror author, really, not horror novel. So my favorite horror author is H.P. Lovecraft, who, while a terrible man, knew how to tell a suspenseful horror story. Lovecraft was the master of building suspense and building dread. His stories are very, very slow build, and they star normal people in like normal professions. There's like cops and journalists, or you know, sometimes they're shut-ins or museum curators. I mean, these don't sound like very normal professions, but they're not like superpowered, and they don't have any special abilities, and then slowly their minds are kind of open to this world they didn't really know of, where there are things that no man should know, and the great old ones who, you know, live beyond human comprehension, who aren't evil. They're just so far beyond our concept of good and evil that they don't even give us a second thought, but destruction comes in their wake. And they vary anything from really quiet and personal stories to cosmic horror. Lovecraft's thing was just always about the fear of the unknown and the unknowable. If you're getting into Lovecraft, there's plenty of places to start. His most famous is certainly Call of Cthulhu, the novella, which really, I think Call of Cthulhu is the perfect place to start because it includes everything that I love about Lovecraft. Guy who starts slowly discovering things that he shouldn't know, madness starting to set in, great old ones and alien beings type thing. But if you want to start smaller, there are some really good short stories like Dagon, The Doom That Came to Sarnath, which are two of my favorite of his short stories. If you want something more action-packed, there is a longer story called Shadow over Innsmouth, which is really his most action-oriented story, and it's also scary. Really, there's not a story that you can go wrong in with Lovecraft as far as being frightened or being horrified in some way. So if you've never read Lovecraft, consider picking him up, checking it out. I encourage you, read Call of Cthulhu or one of his shorter stories if you want to read something smaller. Thanks guys, and enjoy your spooky October.
Hey everybody, Andy Smith here. My favorite spooky, creepy October read is actually the classic Dracula by Bram Stoker. This is one of those great books where you think you know the vibe or you know kind of the general story, and then when you actually get back to it, it is much more interesting and captivating, and you recognize why this story is so well beloved. It's a lot like T.H. White's Once and Future King does to King Arthur. This story does for Dracula. It is an excellent story. The chill just gets in your bones. The setting is scary. The characters are really interesting. And again, all of them you sort of think you know. Count Dracula, his wife, Van Helsing. But once you get into this work, it is just so much fun. And if you didn't know, this novel is set in epistolary form, or basically like it's letters or like ship logs. So it kind of feels like a found footage movie where like it's, you know, like a videotape and shaky cam, but in book version. You're just getting little bits and pieces from different characters, and it leaves you guessing. So not only is it creepy and scary and really, really well done, but it is also a page turner, and it has a great theme of the potential of desire to twist humans and their emotions and their actions. Highly would recommend Dracula. Also, the great thing about it, because it's a classic, it's super easy to get. I think the Kindle right now is either free on Kindle Unlimited or like $1 to buy just the regular ebook. So definitely check it out. It's a classic for a reason. It's fantastic. Dracula by Bram Stoker. Happy reading.
All right, and then my favorite horror/thriller book should come as no surprise to anyone. I've talked about it in quite a few of my recent videos, so I'm not going to go too in depth, but it is Imaginary Friend by Stephen Chbosky, which is an adult horror book about a mother and a son who move to a new town and are starting over, and the son mysteriously disappears for 6 days and is found unharmed, comes back home, but he now has the voice of an imaginary friend in his head telling him that he has to build a treehouse in the woods by Christmas time, or else everyone he knows in his town will be changed forever. And that's all I'm gonna say. It is very, very intense. It's got a lot of buildup, and it's very fast paced. Not everyone is going to absolutely love this book. The Goodreads rating for it is not great. I always feel like I have to kind of give that disclaimer on this, because every time someone picks up this book on my recommendation, I'm always so nervous that they're not going to like it. So this book isn't for everyone, but if you like the show Stranger Things on Netflix, this reminded me so much of Stranger Things. I love the mother and son characters in this book. They were some of my favorites ever that I've read. I cared so much about what happened to them, and so this one is one of my favorite books of all time, if not my favorite book of all time. So I can't recommend it enough. If you do want to try it, October is a perfect month to pick it up. So thank you so much to all of the booktubers who took part in this video. Hopefully you not only found some awesome book recommendations for this season, but also some new booktubers to follow. Again, all of their channels are going to be linked down below. Please go check them out, and thank you all so much for watching. And until next time, bye!